On this visit to the Film Lounge, an immigrant finds himself in a beautiful but isolating new place. A mixed martial artist wrestles with his purpose. An artist longs to continue her work. Behind the scenes of a visual effects short shot in an Iowa basement, a woman toils with her identity and her talents. And a retiree finds a new hobby to fill the hours. No ticket necessary. You're about to enter the Film Lounge.
Funding for this program was provided by Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation, as well as generations of families and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa PBS.
The Film Lounge is produced in partnership with the Iowa Arts Council and Produce Iowa.
Hello, my name is Hao Zhou. I'm the director of my short film Frozen Out. I'm from China.
My name is Tyler Hill, and I'm the producer and one of the cinematographers for Frozen Out.
I shot Frozen Out over the last winter here in Iowa, and I also had a collaborator shot some footage from my hometown. So I intertwined those two footages together. It's like a film letter that I wrote to my sister for my hometown, for my family.
It covers a lot of experiences. Some of them are related to the kind of emotional journey of being an immigrant and separation from your family and some of the mixed emotions that you feel about that, narrated through Hao's personal story and the intercutting of footage from China with the footage shot in Iowa kind of helps to link these two very distant locations as well as the experiences that were had both here and back home for the protagonist.
哪点？哪点？
First of all, I really enjoy the winter landscape here in Iowa. I came from a southwest part of China, really slow there. So this is like really fresh experience for me, and I want to capture it. So the locations are all around the Iowa City area. This is one of the location actually.
And the reason for shooting there was sort of ease of access for us, but also everything that we needed was mostly around this area. A lot of beautiful nature, from prairies to agricultural areas to forests. When we were searching for locations, we wanted to have spaces with a really clear background and a clear foreground, almost like a stage. So you have a backdrop and then a foreground, and then the character moves across the frame. And as Hao said, it was all blanketed in snow during that time. So some of the spaces that otherwise would seem more ordinary suddenly transformed in the winter.
So Frozen Out has been accepted to more than 40 film festivals now, and it won some awards, but then obviously the most important award that won so far is a Student Academy Award. Well, it definitely helped a lot for me. We're currently working on a pre-production for feature film. So with this award, we can definitely reach out to more talents because we are certified by the Academy. Or, when we are looking for future funding or doing other projects, this award will always help me. This award will always on my CV and then help me to reach different kind of doors. Yeah.
你不晓得我在哪点了，我在做啷个，我在寻找啷个，你甚至都不晓得真实的我是哪个。不公平，是不是吧？我几乎晓得你的点点滴滴，你晓得的我只是一个模糊的轮廓，一团乱麻，半真半假，借口，还有善意的谎言。我在哪里？我是哪个？我在找什么？找我的故事，那点可能发生的故事。那点，那点，我在那点。我在搜寻，搜寻。他们已经跟你说过很多次，不要给我们家里面抹黑，就像你哥哥那样。不要觉得男生喜欢男生，或者女生爱上女生，是有好特别。不要因为你有点忧伤，你就要玩消失。我逃跑过很多很多次，有一次整整1年。我当时比现在的你大不了好多。那些是造成我问题的原因吗？或者是开始？管他曾经是啷个，或者还是？当然，最重要的是，不要抛弃你的故乡。我离开家乡的时候，正是被改造的时候，粉碎，夷为平地，换掉。即使你最喜欢的旅游的小路，也会被碾压掉。当我回来的时候，如果我还会的话，家也不会是家，你也不会是你，我想哥哥也不会是哥哥嘞，但我从来都不是啊。
Hello, my name is Fred Ebong. I'm a filmmaker that resides in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and the name of my film is Doubt. The base of it is that it's pretty much overcoming fear, and not just overcoming fear, but the different methods or a method that we can use to overcome fear, right? And it's funny because I've been sitting on that project for a long time just because of a little doubt in myself too. It's like, okay, if I put this out, there's gonna be my first big project, which is like, and then people like it, stuff like that. So I kind of sat on it for a long time, almost 6-7 months, I didn't do anything with it. So last year, a friend of mine that ran the CSPS Hall said that they wanted to showcase some work from immigrants, and if I had any work available. So in 2 weeks, so that I've been waiting for like 6 months to do. I, got it done, got with a few friends to help me, and it's been going since then. I would say I've always been a storyteller, even before I was a filmmaker, right? Because I grew up in Nigeria, and my dad used to sit us down and tell us all these war stories of, or like stuff that happened to him. And my dad is a pretty good storyteller. I could literally picture everything he's saying. So I've always been into storytelling, whether that is from books, videos, music, whatever. I got into the filmmaking industry, you might say, because I had a business. I used to sell African stuff online, kind of like this shirt. I couldn't find anybody in my price range that gave me good quality photos or videos. So I bought a simple Canon T3i, and I would take that. I use that to take pictures and do some short, funny videos for products and stuff. And it turns out that I actually fell in love with that. So this whole film started because while I was learning, my friend told me that he had an MMA fight coming up. And so I was like, hey, why don't we kind of create like a little promotional video for you? Yeah, so then, forward along, I've been working on my craft and getting better and better over time. And then in this January of 2020, I was like, okay, it's time to go full time and see what the world has for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a championship fight. Your Pinnacle Combat Professional Lightweight Champion,
I think that I got into fighting more or less just to do something. Never had a goal, I guess. I had one buddy that I always had hung out with, and I would take him to go train all the time and pick him up. And finally, he's like, why don't you just come in? Like you're always in shape, you're ready to go. Like, why don't you come in and train? I am Jared Downing, and anybody will tell you in the fight game, 80% of the fight is in your mind. When I was about 15 or 16, I was getting into a whole lot of trouble. My mom got all tired of it, and she kind of had enough, I was pretty much a punk kid, and she told me it's time to go. And so being on my own, it made me have to man up.
I hope that doesn't happen here to me.
Oh, Wisely fell down. He's on his back early here.
The first time I got into the cage, I seen everybody around. That wasn't really what made me excited or affected me at all. It was the people that I had trained with, that they were there ready. Like, they put their time into me, and these are the first guys I ever were around that were like doing something with their life. And I was just super excited to prove to them I'm ready to fight.
Yeah, I think controversial decision might even be an understatement. It's more of a robbery.
On fight day, I had looked at pictures of my twins, my newborns, and a whole lot of doubt just went through my head. I went from a family of 2, which was me and my dog, to a family of 5. I just remember thinking, I'm gonna fail my kids. The moment that you start to doubt yourself, you're gonna be battling uphill. And that fight went bad. Every fight after that, I just doubted myself. So I went from 9-1 with a world title to 9-6.
Your Pinnacle Combat Professional Lightweight Champion, Eric Wisely!
When I lost to Eric Wisely is when I knew it's time. I'm gonna probably just have to be done. There was a huge part of me that felt I wasn't good enough. I think everybody has that doubt, but it's the people who can control it that will ultimately succeed. And it took me years to honestly know that. It was so uncomfortable in those fights when I was losing. And I wasn't physically losing, I was mentally losing. So now all my workouts, I focus on just being uncomfortable. I want it to suck. I want to be afraid to work out. There's points in there where I'm like, I don't need to do this. I don't have to do this. And I think about it, what would I do in a fight? It sucks to push forward, but I'm gonna do it. Because I know I need to sharpen my mind. And once I knew that it was all in my mind, that's when I knew I was ready to come back and put my mind to the test. Once fight day happened, I was ready to go into the cage for the first time again. And I was excited to go out there and prove to myself. There was a moment in the fight early on where he threw a kick and it almost hit me right in my head. And I thought, is this gonna happen again? Am I going to doubt myself again? I put my mind through way worse situations than this. Everything that I put into this fight, the countless training, the workouts. Now that sucked. And after that mind shift happened, I got back on it and I was able to take him down.
From Cedar Rapids, Iowa,
on my last fight, there was no moment where I questioned myself. I knew I come in strong, it's over. And that's what I did.
Hello, my name is Tempest Montgomery. I am a filmmaker from Iowa City, and my film is Love. It's an experimental take on this feeling I was having after I got back from my first stint out in Los Angeles. I was at this point where I felt very creatively fulfilled in what I was doing in my work. And I was feeling this kind of push and pull between my professional life and my personal life. And so this is kind of a process of that emotion, if you will. This expectation versus the reality of what you want in your life. I wanted to make it because I felt like if I didn't make it, I was going to explode. I called my dearest, my best friend, Kai, who is our lead actress in the film, and I said, I need to make a film. I need it to be very personal. You're the only person I trust with this. Can we do that? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. Come over. And so I did, and we made it, and we shot it in one night, and she was the best collaborator I could have asked for. The most rewarding part of the whole process, I think, I'm sure people will watch and be like, well, that's not as technically good as it could have been, but it spoke to me on every emotional level that I hope to hit. And to have that come through and for it to be so true to what I wanted it to be, which I'm sure a lot of people will tell you, it's so hard to match the vision in your head to like what actually happens. But it was the vision, it was my vision put to screen so purely. It's like hit a note with so many people is very humbling, and like it makes me so proud as well.
Bucket list things I've had as a filmmaker is to make a green screen movie for some reason. I don't know what it is about that. I remember seeing Robert Rodriguez's Sin City and just falling in love with that movie. And so once I did, I was like, I want to do something like this that can be told in a stylized way and can be made for, you know, very, very little resources. And I looked at that medium of doing like a green screen stylized comic book look, and I didn't want to do it just for the sake of it. I wanted a story that kind of worked within the realms of the aesthetic. And so knowing that, you know, we were going to do a noir film fit that sort of feeling, I guess, that I wanted to create.
Here's the Chippy in the slinky black dress. Not your wife, that's for sure.
It basically just started as a very long conversation between Ab and I about genre and style and things we wanted to accomplish. I've always had a strong love for film noir, specifically kind of like the very hard-boiled, stylized dialogue. It's always kind of a sandbox I've wanted to play in.
Representative Tyler is no red, if that's what you're insinuating. And I won't have one of my reporters wasting valuable time and valuable resources on wild goose chases and half-baked slander. Stick to the stories you're assigned, or I'll get a reporter who will.
So we started figuring out typical tropes of film noir and how we could kind of play with that and subvert expectations.
The original story came from the idea of this woman who is a journalist who's looking for the truth, who stumbles upon something crazy, supernatural. And at the time, we didn't know what it was. We didn't know if it was codes for a nuclear bomb or if it was like the Oracle or some sort of godlike item. And things just kind of took off from there. That's where Bo brought in his extraordinary talents and knowledge and geekdom and went to town on, you know, filling in all the holes to the story. So something like this, and it's okay if we see lights in the shot, because remember, she's getting cut out like that.
I think the green screen, it hits a certain level of like the uncanny valley when you're watching it, because you automatically know something's not right, and it puts the audience just a little uneasy. It kind of helps get them in the mood for this story where things are going to get weird.
Hakami? No, Megan Elizabeth Mahoney, I am not a communist.
What are you?
So what we're doing is we're taking characters in a real environment, that we're cutting out the background and replacing it with a virtual background that we can create in any environment that we want. The lighting is sort of the key to making it all look convincing. So you have to know what your background's going to be, and you have to match the lighting to whatever that background's going to be. If you light someone with a dark sort of moody look, and then you put in an outside photo of San Francisco with sunlight beaming in from all over the place, you know, it's not going to match up story-wise. So it's about being very cognizant of the shot that you want to get before you actually go to create the scene. This film was literally made with one camera, green screen in my basement. It was about 300 square feet of space, a couple of lights, and sound equipment. It very much a bare bones thing, but we had practice doing this and sort of knew, I guess, what would work.
The shoot ended up going longer than we had anticipated. You know, you're doing a short film where nobody's getting paid and everyone's being there when they can. I know we lost, there were some times when talent couldn't be there and we had to shoot around their schedule.
And action.
And that's one of the benefits of having a green screen is there are times when we had to shoot people individually and then push them together on screen, and you'd never know they weren't in the same scene together.
Yeah, we missed one shot of the main character like punching the other. We called her in the next day and we had her punch me, and then I just covered myself up with a piece of green so I wouldn't overlap with her, and she just pretended I was the bad guy, and that's how we got around certain stuff like that. So yeah, I think the genre and the aesthetic afforded us a bit of flexibility there. To me, at least, what I've learned in film school and how we sort of approach the topic is that the movies are based on like this very delineated idea of morality. So you have good and evil, not much gray. That's what inspired the look. I think if there's a moment where, you know, you're dealing with something morally ambiguous, you know, then we see color, we see a whole range of different light values in the film. We wanted the morality to be complicated.
I don't think we were ever worried about going too far. Everybody will come into the film with their own personal kind of baggage, and they'll see what they want in the movie and take away certain things. As far as trying to, push the envelope, I don't think that was ever an intention. I know we always just want to try and put out what's the best film and best thing that suits the story.
And that goes back to what I was saying, like, we're not doing it for the sake of doing it. We want to make sure the story that we're telling and the themes go along with that. In fact, I was like, how do we push it even further?
Hello, my name is Benjamin Handler. I live in Iowa City, Iowa. I'm the director of Ghost Creek. Ghost Creek is a film that's kind of about the last year that we've all experienced through COVID and the derecho and all the things in Iowa that have been, hard for us to kind of encapsulate. And so for us in Iowa City, we have, the Angler Theater, which we're here at right now. And every year there's a festival called Mission Creek. And it had to get canceled the year we filmed Ghost Creek. And this film is sort of an encapsulation of what Mission Creek brings to Iowa City and what Iowa City is and what the arts are here. And hopefully this film sort of captures the spirit that we all feel. The kind of template that I was given was written by Rachel Yoder, who's a local writer here in town. And she wrote this really nice, kind of beautiful poetic piece about someone in Iowa City that sort of the narrator is supposed to be, everyone is supposed to be this person. We're all kind of Awira, this ghost character in the film. And in the film, there's kind of two parts of Awira. There's this ghost version of her, and there is regular Awira who works at the Angler. She's a cleaner. She cleans the museums here in town. And it's this duality we all kind of face where we have who we really are, and then also sort of the part of us that yearns for more and yearns to see our friends and yearns to be someone who doesn't have to experience the tough things that we all had to go through. I've been wanting to work with the Angler in some capacity on a narrative project for a while. They approached me to do a narrative project, and it was very Ben, we trust you as an artist, do your thing, but also here's a couple ideas, here's things you can run with. And I was like, great, here's a blank slate, here's this beautiful space, we have Iowa City to work with. And so, yeah, it was just a kind of an honor to run with a film like this.
That new wind speed estimate of 140 miles per hour in the southwest side of Cedar Rapids associated with those Westdale Court apartment complex. That's where we saw that massive devastation there on the
Clinic
southwest
says
side.
the increase in hospitalizations for COVID-19 shows the current public health measures are not successful. As of today, 449 people. Black Lives Matter group is calling for a black state of emergency in Iowa.
Groups like Des Moines Mutual Air, Iowa Freedom Riders, and more are part of this effort. During a news conference, the coalition said it's unsafe for Black Iowans to be in public alone.
5 without power. People have been taking care of the recovery effort into their own hands, without the city to feed hundreds. The pages.
As of today, 449 people are receiving treatment in Iowa hospitals. Hundreds of thousands of people in Iowa are still without power right now. Is in a state of emergency.
I never imagined this as what catastrophe would look like. One same day after another. This sameness punctuated only by other smaller catastrophes. A sort of suspended animation, waiting. Waiting for what, though? I never knew silence could be an actual place, somewhere you could feel trapped. I just need a glimmer of who we used to be. Or even a glimpse of something better, something beautiful, something far away from here.
¿Qué haces en la calle? Te entras ya mismo, te he dicho muchas veces que no te haces en la calle. Venís para acá, vamos para adentro. Vamos a la casa. ¿Sí estudiaste? ¿Sí hiciste todas las tareas? ¿Y qué están estudiando ahora? Hoy yo fui a tu salón.
¿Ya está la comida lista?
Lista.
Vengan a comer que está muy bueno.
¿De qué te están, Mateo, de qué te están leyendo ahí? Clase. Esa tiene que pintarla. Y este sí dice color de writing words. Mira, street, beat, track.
I wish I could be there with you.
Mateo, Tomás, ¿usted se sabe estas rimas? ¿Cómo se dice eso?
Sometimes I think I am.
¿Me puede leer esto? Yo tengo problemas leyendo esto. Dice pum, pum.
Wandering in an open door just to say hi.
¿Cómo se lee esto? ¿Me explica esta? Mira, esta sí rima.
Am I there?
No,
Could you
porque
tell
se lee esta.
if I were? I had this dream. I was searching for anyone, but all the buildings were empty. What I found instead was this feeling that this was a place I belonged to, that one day the city itself would return to me.
Knowing how to say goodbye. It doesn't get easier, but it does get better. It will get better. Go home, home. Baby, go home. 'Cause you're safe with me. You're safe here with me when you're home. Time to go home. 'Cause you're safe with me. You're safe here with me when you're home.
The sameness.
across your dress. Helps to be a pretty girl when life's a mess. But you don't have to clean it. Worry about nothing, my dear.
I'm Paul Heineman. I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I am an animator, and the film we did was called Birdsong. Well, it's about this Roger who retires, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. I suppose it's kind of a little explanation of how movies are so big and exciting, and first it was, save the city, save the country, save the universe, save the multiverse and stuff. But a lot of times it's about just making your own little area of the world better, or funnier in this case. And so that's what it is. It's a nice, quiet little film about how a man approaches his life and how he changes it. The genesis for the film itself was Iowa Motion Picture Association had a 1-week film, can you make a film in 1 week kind of festival. And I thought, can I do animation in 1 week? And I thought, yeah, okay, And so we put together, I had a lot of the assets. Roger was already built. He was from a video game that we made. And the set you can knock together in less than a day. And trees are generated, so it goes pretty fast. But the story was a question. What are we going to do with this little guy that's going to be in this short film? And on Iowa Public Television, there was a show, Nova, I think, that said birds can learn different songs, and they do all the time. And just creativity kicked in, and I thought, well, here's a story of Roger and how he teaches the birds to sing. Roger retired. He'd been working his whole life at the big machine works, keeping the big machines working, and now has his well-earned rest. At first, he didn't know what to do. Putted around the house, doing a little of this and a little of that. Lately, Roger has taken to feeding the birds. Every day, first thing, Roger feeds the birds. Day in, day out. Hot or cold, rain or sun, he feeds his birds. One night, as he watched TV, public television probably, he saw that birds can learn new songs, and he wondered if he could teach them one. So, every day, day in and day out, Roger would feed his birds and whistle his little food song. Rain or shine or cloudy or snowy, Roger would feed his birds and whistle his song. For the longest time, nothing happened. Then one late spring day, one young fledgling sang a bit of the song to him. It sang just a phrase, but that day Roger fed the birds twice. The next day, another bird sang a different phrase of his song, then another, and then another. Soon all the birds were singing the bird-feeding song. So now, every day Roger goes out to feed the birds sing the bird-feeding song to Roger. That's all, birdies.
Funding for this program was provided by Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation, as well as generations of families and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa PBS.
The Film Lounge is produced in partnership with the Iowa Arts Council and Produce Iowa.